All right, Mr. Cosell from heaven in a few moments, but first the Warriors against the team they should be able to beat. He's not going anywhere. Mr. C, you're slumming tonight doing local news.
Yeah.
When you see me do the crazy fan to try and pull in the non-fan, as a journalist, how do you feel?
You know what? I feel multiphasically unregular when I see something like that, Gary.
Okay, so what does that mean?
It means I don't really care. That's what it means. I'd like to, if you're going to show dancing, then let's get those guys, those big rotund guys out there the Warriors have. You know, those big guys that dance around.
With the bouncing chi-chis.
That's right, with the massive chi-chis like the great golfer, what's his name, Philpott Mickelson. Of course, he takes after the wonderful Jan Stevenson, who once said, play like a man, but look like a woman.
By the way, your first visit with Mike Kelting, you know Pam and Tom for years. Your first chance to be in a studio with Kelting, you thought.
This man is truly the epitome of broadcasting greatness. That's right, from the town of Toledo, just a stone's throw from where Gary Radnich started out there with the great Ohio Buckeyes back in the day.
Your thoughts on the river dance, Mr. C?
Let me tell you something. If Sonny Werblin was still around, we'd have something called the under-celebration rule, where the teams would be penalized if they did not celebrate. Going back to the old AFL days.
You're aware that the KRON 4 demographic and all local news may be old, but Sonny Werblin?
That's right. Way back in 1968.
Okay, all right. All right. Mr. Cosell is standing by. He already gave you a little taste. Tommy Sinkovic's feeling pretty good, though. You're a Tommy man.
Little Tommy S. The great Tommy S. That's right. I don't know where he's from, but he is the epitome of prodigiousness.
And when we say prodigious...
I think that's good.
Yeah, and when we say class and Pam Moore...
Pam Moore, let me tell you something. I've seen some of the great broadcasters, and you know what? Barbara, forget about it. Pammy Moore's here. You know what, Pamela? There's a place for you on West 66th Street. That's right. Right there, prime time plays. Hello.
Okay. And, of course, I'd be remiss without your comments on the very innovative move KRON has turned to VJs, where the reporters are the cameramen, they're the custodians, they're everything.
Let me tell you something, Sir Gary Radnich. Yes. Back in the day, in the 50s, I had my 35-pound Niagara recorder on my back telling Jimmy Pearsall, I know you're crazy, Pearsall, but can you hit a curveball? Back in those days. Now, yours truly, with a camera, that would have been a thing to see.
All right, so you like what KRON is doing. You think it's very innovative.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to talk to Ben and Glenn about this, though. I want to know how he's going to dance around like Deion Sanders with the camera on him. You know, I don't understand that one.
More Mr. C, one-on-one. Don't move. He was, without question, the most popular, most despised, the most respected sportscaster of all time, the late, great Howard Cosell. And to keep his legacy alive is a man, we'll just say, Ernie from Oakland, who has built a little friendship we have into a career where he travels the country.
Yes, I do.
Can I finish my lead-in?
Well, go ahead. Hurry up. We don't have much time.
All right, but where did we meet?
We met on the outskirts of Morgan Hill, a.k.a. Gilroy, that day. It was 105 degrees in the shade. Radnich was sweating profusely.
The Gilroy Garlic Festival.
That's right, the Gilroy Garlic Festival. And yours truly, and your mother, your father, and your niece, that was the entire audience.
Yeah, it was a little slow, yes.
That's right. And I said, you know, I'm not coming back to this thing.
Okay, let's start with Monday Night Football. Yeah. Would you say, despite your relationship with Ali, that is where you truly hit it big?
This is, look, we came into the living rooms of everyone. There were 30 million viewers. We had 3 hours of prime time television.
People doubted that football would work on Monday night.
That's right, of course, that's right. Little Carl Lindemann over at NBC said it's not going to work, but let me tell you something, Lindemann, you didn't have anybody like Cosell, and of course the Dandaroo.
Yeah. And, of course, the Jets and the Cleveland Browns, the first game, Municipal Stadium, Cleveland.
Absolutely. It was a humid evening that night in Cleveland. I'll never forget it. Oh, what a tremendous evening, and of course the next week in Baltimore, I believe.
Is it true, though, that night in Philadelphia that you threw up? That you were drunk on the air? You were drunk on the air.
See, I never countenanced you amongst the mediocrities of the media, Gary. But if you're going to tell that story, I must set the record straight.
I read it in the newspaper. I read it in the newspaper.
Look, let me tell you something. John Carlos was on the taxi squad of the Philadelphia Eagles that night. I had an ear infection. He says, Howard, let's do some wind sprints. I said, okay. So before the game, we did some wind sprints. There I am with Carlos, training him again, getting him back in shape. A great wide receiver, trying out for the team. And then, yes, I went up into the booth. I felt lightheaded, and I did upchuck on the Danderoos booth.
On the Danderoos booth.
Yeah.
Ali, though, if you had to pick one individual, did you make Ali or did Ali make you?
Let's tell it like it is. He would have suffered in impoverished. There he is. He would have suffered in impoverished anonymity if it were not for the likes of yours truly. But I saw him. You know what? This guy was the epitome, the essence of insouciance that youth brought upon the entire landscape.
And there you are with Ali in Central Park. Let me press you a little bit as we go to Joe Namath. As tough as you sound, I've heard when no one was around, you kissed the rear end of Joe Willie Namath.
I never
You kissed the rear end.
Let me tell you something.
Jimmy Cannon of the New York Post said you kissed the rear end of Joe Namath.
Jimmy Cannon, Dick Young, Wally Red Smith, all mediocrities. But let me say this. I never sniffed the junk of anyone like
that's not what the writers said. That's not what the writers said.
Like Donald Trump, who, of course, I coined the phrase for sniffing the junk when he threw those orphans out of his first real estate deal.
That's right. That was rather ugly.
That's right.
We'll
it was
leave
a
that
Catholic orphanage. I hope they're all relocated.
You worked with Frank Gifford for years, yet you know, pretty much looked at him with disdain, that he was just a jock in the booth with no personality, no livability.
I would have
You're jealous because he had Kathy Lee.
Gary,
You're
I would have given him the shirt off my back. Let me tell you something.
Did you like Kathy Lee, or was she a pain in the neck?
Well, you know what? When she does pass away, I hope she doesn't come by heaven, because we don't want to see her around there. But I will tell you. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Kathy Lee.
Okay, you got 10 seconds to do it.
Okay, look, she recently did an animation program. While she's doing the voiceover, she's yelling in the background, Frank, bring me a martini. It was an abomination.
And Frank has to jump.
And yes, right. In the background, he's saying,
you're the greatest.
All right.
Mr. C from heaven, Tom, Pam, and Mike.
All right.
Wow.
Nice.
That's
Turn
amazing.
out the lights. The party's over.
Good night.